Welcome to a pivotal moment in the world of broadcast as we proudly present the Men's Mental Health Show featuring the renowned Larry Mabry in collaboration with the Maassen Group. This essential exploration of men's mental health wouldn't be possible without the invaluable support of Rainier Avenue Radio World. Now, let's dive into this crucial conversation with Larry Mabry and the Maassen Group. Your mental well-being matters. Here's Larry Mabry.
Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing on this beautiful, beautiful Monday, January 22nd, 2024? Excuse me. Just want to say what's up to my people that's listening. Also want to put a shout out to all my fellow Aquarians. My birthday is this month. So just want to say what's up to my fellow Aquarians. Today we're going to talk about being more confident. But before we address that, first of all, I wanted to say I appreciate Rainier Avenue Radio for their support here of public radio here. So I want to give a shout out to them. And also too, I just want to say I appreciate you guys for putting in the time. You guys can be anywhere else, but you choose to be here. So I appreciate that very much. So thank you for lending me your ear. But before I go into being more confident, when I came in this morning or this afternoon, I was thinking, I always like to keep it 100 as far as things I'm dealing with. And for those individuals who follow astrology, we basically have the elements, right? We have the air signs, we have the fire signs, we have the earth signs, and we have the water signs. And all of those are basically in our chart. But as we go through this particular year, we have certain things we're dealing with. Me personally been dealing with some interesting things. Pluto in Aquarius, which is really, really powerful, but basically dealing with rebirth, dealing with dismantling things, as well as parts of yourself and basically transforming those things. And so I wanted to kind of go into that before we go into being more confident for today. So basically, what does that look like to be more confident, right? So we can talk about this a little bit. So if we look at the signs, we have the Aquarius, and Aquarius typically is air sign, which deals more with the mental, the mind, social constructs, groups of people, things of that nature, action oriented, adventurous. Some individuals I can think of that come to mind who are Aquarians would be Andre 3000. Those individuals may know him. Speaking of transformation, he basically was a huge rap artist and kind of transformed, and now he released the album, and it's just a wind instrument. So that's a huge transformation. But I appreciate him making that transition. And we also have the Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio, which are water signs. And these individuals are can be psychic, very charming, emotional. I believe Rihanna, I think she's a Pisces. Kendrick Lamar, I think, is a Pisces as well. Very imaginative type people, can be very emotional. We also have the fire signs, which are very passionate people. Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Passionate, strong emotions, can be temperamental, very energetic, like to kind of get things going. Sometimes may struggle with finishing things, but it depends. A Leo, they can knock it out and get it done. So very interesting people too as well. So, and again, we have all these signs in all of us, right? And then we also have the earth sign, which is the Taurus, the Virgo, and the Capricorn. These individuals are, could be very helpful. A lot of them like to build big structures, very grounded people, very practical, realistic. Sometimes it could be perceived as materialistic, but they're very dependable. And again, all these signs are important. But as I go into the being more confident, I want you to think about, well, what sign are you? And look at your strengths and your weaknesses, because sometimes, for example, I'm an Aquarian, and I know early in my journey, when I was around a lot of people who were very grounded, I would seem very flighty to them, right? So, and there's benefit to every sign, right? So there's no sign better than any other sign, but the Aquarians can come up with the good ideas, right? You got Michael Jordan, Oprah Winfrey, Andre 3000. But you do need all the signs to kind of help balance you, right? To kind of keep you focused. So anyway, without further ado, I want us to kind of get into the being more confident aspect. So as we go into that, I want us to look at that. What does it look? So today we're going to look at 5 steps of being more confident and understand the challenges that prevent you from being confident. First of all, how do you believe in yourself? You got to start believing in yourself, right? Undo those negative thought patterns. And where do you get those from? Sometimes it could be from your environment. Sometimes it could be that negative self-talk. Treat yourself with kindness, right? Engage in confident behaviors. All right. Okay, here we go. All right. So in this course, we're going to use 5 steps to unleash your confidence, enabling you to feel empowered to take on life's challenges. And you do this through some lessons, some exercises, and what I like to call thought experiments. By the end of this course, you'll have a firm grasp on what it means to be confident in yourself. Okay, and feel truly confident. All right, why is it hard to be confident? Can anybody tell me? For those individuals that want to reach out, what are some challenges you have with being confident? If you want to reach out to us on, I believe we're on Twitter. No, wait, what are we on Facebook? Yeah, you can reach out if you want to reach out and say, hey, Instagram, what are some struggles you're having with being confident? People tearing you down at work? Are you going through like a loss? Are you doing something new that's just a challenge? Right. All right. So here we go. The first step of being confident is we're going to boost our confidence by understanding what makes it challenging to achieve or maintain it. Right. We do this and we learn more about key factors that influence our confidence levels. So once we recognize which factors stand in our way, then we can address it. So in this module, we're going to discuss some of the most common causes, such as low self-esteem, feelings of inadequacy, self-hatred, and self-doubt, among other things, that can make it very difficult for us to build our confidence. Okay. Let's talk about low self-esteem. This basically involves feeling insecure or believing that your own physical, behavior, or personality characteristics are insufficient or subpar. And these views can contradict your objective reality. And I want to talk about this for a second because earlier, remember I talked about the different signs. So what if you're really creative and you're around a lot of people that aren't really creative and you're in the minority? Well, you may think, oh, you know what? My thoughts aren't important. My viewpoints aren't really valued, where it may not even be that. It might just be the association of people you're around. And so that can affect your self-esteem. So how do you build it? Well, personally, I would say make sure you put positive things into yourself constantly, constantly making sure you doing things that you enjoy doing, building your confidence, and just be mindful of your self-talk, right? What are you saying about yourself, right? Be very, very careful about that. All right. Okay. Let's move on. The next one. All right. So what are some signs of low self-esteem? Well, if we focus on our failures or perceived weaknesses, and I want to kind of share a story. So today, I had a friend of mine. We were supposed to meet up and handle some business. And right before we were supposed to meet up, she hit me up and was like, oh, you know what? I have a car situation. I said, okay, no problem. So it was so funny because I'm going to kind of explain the story, right? Kind of how everything happened, but how confidence can kind of help you endure the situation. So basically, she had a car issue. I was like, no problem. I wasn't too far away. Drove over there. She ended up having someone pick her up. And then the individual who picked her up needed a ride. So I ended up dropping that individual off. Long story short, everything worked out, even though that there was a situation that wasn't really planned. And I want to bring this up because sometimes when we have challenges, that can affect that can affect our esteem because we feel like, oh my goodness, why is this happening to me? But in that situation, actually what happened was we actually still created the solution, even though it was a challenge, right? So we have low self-esteem. What happens is it puts you in a situation where you look at the glass half empty, so you don't come up with solutions. And that's going to be the next step I'm talking about here. So you have a pessimistic outlook. You see it as the glass is half empty, so you can't come up with solutions. You socially withdraw rather than look at action steps that you can take to resolve the issue. Sometimes you may be aloof or unwilling to participate in fear that people won't see or hear your voice. Or again, you may have negative self-talk or be self-critical yourself. You may be a follower. And granted, there are some times that you have to follow, but if you feel comfortable about yourself, you will be a leader and take action steps towards doing stuff. Notice also if you're very indecisive, because you're not confident to make a decision. And so you may avoid the decision, but basically by not making a decision, you've made a choice. If you think about it, right? If someone says, okay, pay your bill on the 5th and you can't decide whether to pay it, well, what do you think is going to happen on the 10th? You're probably going to have a late fee and there'll probably still be a consequence. So even though you don't make a choice, that's a choice. So just be mindful of that. Also, poor ability to deal with criticism. That's a big one. So if someone says something and it triggers you, take some be honest with yourself and take some introspection and look at yourself and wonder, okay, you know what, is there some truth to what they said? Right? Because a lot of times if people are sharing some things with you, there's truth to it. So just look at it as, this is an opportunity for me to work on myself to get better. And then maybe the cool thing is now we have AI, we have other resources. You can even ask a question on Chat GPT, how can I improve my self-esteem, right? Or if you want to talk to somebody, one of my favorites ones here is, and I put it here, is the journal. And I really like the journals because what happens is, well, when you use a journal, sometimes people focus on the negative experiences throughout the day, but they overlook the pleasant experiences, right? When you journal and you express the whole situation, the cool thing about that is it gives you some time to reflect, right? And here's some prompts that I have here. So today I enjoyed, and think about what are some things you enjoyed today? Well, the fact that you woke up. A lot of times we take things for granted because we just kind of expect things, but it's actually a blessing that you actually woke up because we only have a finite amount of days. So that's a blessing, right? What did you learn today? So even in that challenge, going back to that scenario I expressed with my friend in the car incident, she and I actually reflected and actually build a better bond between she and I, because what I learned in that instance was she and I are both very resilient. We had something to do. We still did what we needed to do, but we made the necessary changes to resolve the issue. And actually it built more confidence because we're like, look, okay, we had this challenge, but we worked on it together. We were both goal-minded or goal-oriented to get it done. And everybody there was just trying to work it out. So think about what did you learn in that situation? So to me, in that situation, I learned that it's good to have an open mind. It was a new experience, but I was like, hey, what can I do to help? And that's one thing that she and I talked about. We were both in the place of service, trying to help people. I wanted to help her. She wanted to help me. It worked out perfect. And then we ended up, what I forgot to share with you on that is we ended up going to the bank, making another connection, potentially having some other things possibly help her business as well as mine, all through that calamity. So it's very powerful to basically have good self-esteem. Also, too, I am proud of myself because what are you proud of? Right? How many times do you really say, you know what? I did a really good job with this. Right? And some people will say you're being cocky, but if you don't have confidence, how are you able to have the mental fortitude to tackle whatever you need to tackle? And it's okay to be honest with yourself. Say, you know what? I did well with this. I could do better with this. And then that way you just kind of take an introspection of yourself. Also, the best part of my day was what? I would say in that instance, that experience was probably one of the best part of my days, other than this meeting with you guys today. And what was cool about that experience is it wasn't planned. And I noticed that there's a lot of emotions around that. But in that situation, I was just very calm to be supportive of that individual. That individual calmed down and everything worked out. A lot of times when you calm down and you just take a deep breath, just let it go and just kind of be in the moment and know that you're going to be taken care of, things typically work out for the best. Okay. And then the last one, I'm looking forward to, hey, what's up? Yeah. Hey, what's up, Keith? Yes, breathing is very important. Very, very important. Okay. Good to see you there, buddy. All right. Now, next part of the module. Why is it hard to feel confident? Another thing that people struggle with is feelings of inadequacy, right? We all have moments where we are involved and we feel deficient, especially like in a new position, or people may have certain demands for us and we feel a little uncomfortable. You feel that you're not good enough. Just like in the case of the low self-esteem, when you feel, or if you go through like a divorce, um, you kind of feel like you're not adequate, right? And in those situations, everybody makes mistakes. What I do in those situations is typically say, okay, what did I learn through that experience, right? In my past, I had experienced a divorce situation and it was very, very, very painful. But when I went through that situation, there's a lot of nuggets of wisdom I gained through that experience. One, being honest with myself, there were some things that I was not mature emotionally with that I had to be honest with. And then I had to heal some things so that the next person in my life I could show up for. And that's me being honest with myself. What are some things that maybe you have to be honest with yourself with and work through? Okay. And as you put efforts in those things that you're working on, you're going to naturally get better and feel better about yourself. Okay. Everybody has situations where it's new and they're going to feel uncomfortable, right? But these are some things that you want to be mindful of to kind of keep you on the straight and narrow when you're working on your self-esteem. First of all, when you are looking at feelings of inadequacy, these are certain signs that you want to be mindful of. You don't really want to compare yourself to others because you have certain gifts and skill sets that no one else has. And a lot of times, we hear these commercials, we look on the internet and we see, these battles or the situation with Cat Williams going against the other particular comedians, and we kind of get caught up in that. But at the end of the day, everybody has a certain God-given gift that's for them. And you have to step into your power. And, it's okay to look and respect those individuals, but hone on your skills, right? Hone on what's important to you. So don't compare yourself to others, right? Also, be mindful of seeking outside approval or validation. Ooh, that's important. Because sometimes you may have people that one day, they may like you doing this, and then the next day they like you doing that. And what happens on the third day? So now you're looking at them like for approval, right? Make sure you're taking care of your approval for yourself. Take care of those things that are important to you. Why is that important? That's very important because when the crowd wants to go to the right and the crowd wants to go to the left, but you're solid within yourself, then what happens is you're unwaverable. It doesn't matter what happens. You're confident regardless, right? Also, be authentic. Be mindful of the inability to accept praise, right? It's okay to, if somebody says, hey, you did a good job, if you're noticing that you're like, oh, whatever, that's okay or whatever, then who are you putting down? If someone's really trying to show you respect and show you admiration, say, hey, you did a good job, and you're not able to accept that, that's something that you have to kind of be honest with yourself and look at yourself and say, man, why am I struggling with that? Why is that an issue? Why can't I accept the fact that someone says I did a good job, right? Be also of your self-talk. Are you belittling yourself? Are you saying deprecating jokes, right? Be mindful of that because remember, your subconscious hears everything. So you want to be mindful what you say to yourself because at some point when you do it over a period of time, your subconscious is going to believe it and then you're going to start to kind of self-sabotage yourself in situations. So be mindful of what you're saying to yourself. Okay. Withdraw from everyday activities. So if you're noticing that you're not really engaging with certain people, now granted, this is like a two-way street because I feel like it's important to be mindful of your energy because some people you engage with, you may want to be mindful of that. But if you're noticing that overall, you're not really engaging at all, that might be some time for some self-reflection. Also, if you're feeling powerless, okay, if you're feeling powerless, what I would suggest in those situations is Do things that you enjoy doing and start small, right? So if you notice that back in the day, you used to love to play music, hey, get the guitar out or find that old school album, that really made you feel really good. I like to use music because when you play music, what happens is it goes straight to the subconscious, right? And you feel it. It allows you to feel it, right? And just kind of ride the wave of the notes. And that kind of helps, change that feeling of inadequacy. Okay. All right, cool. Also, another reason why it's hard to be confident is because our self-consciousness, which refers to the capacity, a reflection of awareness of oneself, and it depends on the extent of our self-consciousness. So we can have a positive self-concept or a negative self-concept, and that's important. So if you grew up in a family or a situation that was very detrimental, then you might have negative self-concepts, right? But a lot of times it doesn't matter if your family was like normal, if you had a mother, dad, if everything was okay. It could be issues that you struggle with as far as socially, right? Or maybe you had a breakup, or maybe you had something challenging in the family, or you had like a car accident or something like that that could have affected you as well. Or maybe you're not really good at sports, or maybe you have a certain self-concept. If you handle that mental, that's going to be very important to kind of help you feel confident, right? Moderate levels of self-conscious behaviors can boost your motivation, increase your self-confidence. However, high levels of self-consciousness can result in emotions such as shame, embarrassment, jealousy, guilt, and make us closely watch our skills and delve into every blemish. And over time, it can erode our self-confidence. So basically, what I mean by this is keep things balanced. Sometimes we can focus on being too positive, which isn't authentic. And then sometimes we can focus on being too negative, which is authentic as well. And so I would recommend, let's kind of keep it balanced, right? So if you're feeling some things, express it, right? And sometimes, depending on if you're like a boss or your authority figure and you have people around you, subordinates, you may feel like, oh, you know what? I'm feeling this way, but I don't really want to express it. That's okay. But make sure you express it either in a journal or with a professional like myself or other professionals, or you have the Jedi team, some people that you can talk to so that you can vent, because it's important for you to kind of work through that as well. Okay. Beautiful. All right. Let's look at the next one. Now, our self-consciousness exploration. Well, what does that look like? Well, basically, I want us to do an exercise. So you can discover a lot about yourself by answering specific questions, and consider these questions below to find out more about your self-consciousness. All right. The more you answer yes, the more self-conscious you might be. So real quick, I'm going to ask a few questions. First one, do I constantly reflect on my actions? So think about that. If you want to comment, you can go ahead and comment. Do you do self-reflection? And I advise to do it every day. Do I always examine my motives? So think about, what's your motivation? Do I worry about what people think about me? Do I feel threatened quickly? So are you triggered? Do I need the approval of others? Do I get intimidated quickly? Do I feel guilty or shamed easily by mistakes? And the last one, am I easily embarrassed? Okay. Now, these are things to kind of help you prompt the self expression process, to explore your self consciousness. But also, if you kind of work through these things and you're kind of examining these things and being honest and talking to some people through these things, you'll find that as you're being more authentic, you're going to actually build up more of your self confidence. Okay. All right. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. All right, guys. So we're kind of getting close to the end. One quick thing I want to mention is the imposter syndrome, which describes a feeling of doubt in our victories as well as our accomplishments. And often people who experience imposter syndrome feel as if they are frauds, and they may fear that the actual owner of the achievement will be crowned at any moment, and they will be exposed for being a fraud. And this might be something going on in the subconscious. So I wanted to kind of bring this up because we all kind of battle with that, and I like to call it the shadow. But it's important that we refrain from taking credit for other people's skills abilities. We work hard for their success or our success. Instead, we tend to give credit and good luck in those situations. Coworkers who were barely involved in projects were patient or pleasant, or whether they're pleasant or whether they're showing good fortune or virtue at being at the correct place at the right time. It's important just to be mindful of those particular things. Okay. So now we're kind of getting towards the end of the program. So real quick, I wanted to give a shout out to, let me see, let me pull this up real quick. We got the Black History Music Month Museum that's going to be going on from February 1st all the way to the end of the month, which is February 29th. Make sure you guys come on down here at the Columbia City Theater to check it out. I'll mention a couple events and installations. We're going to have this Seattle Black Panther party. We got the Black Heritage Society of Washington. We also have the NAACP Washington, Alaska, Oregon, as well as the Negro League Baseball Seattle Steelheads. We also have the Rainier Cinema Black Movie posters, as well as a few others. So make sure you guys get on down here and take a look and show your support here, February 1st through the 29th, here at 4,916 Rainier Avenue here at the Columbia City Theater. Okay. Also, too, for those individuals that enjoy my co-host or the host that I've done with in the past, make sure you guys check out Dr. Tracy Harrell. She'll be here from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock right after my show. Make sure you check that out. That's Better Together and Living Powerfully. That should be a lot of fun, dealing with support for the family as well. And I'll see you guys next week. Peace and love. I'll take it easy.